Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Magic Bean podcast. This is episode 132. My name is Cracker, and I will be your host today. And I have one bean with me, and he's definitely a bean, but I think he's more of a special guest at the moment. It's been a long time. Chris, how you doing?
I am good. How are you?
Great, man.
It has been a very long time.
Yeah, that's all right. It's good to have you back on. We got a couple of things we wanted to catch up on. You've been playing some Commander over the weekend, and we thought we'd just, drag you in for a change, and you weren't busy doing a million other things for once this evening, so that probably means you've just got to do them later, but...
No, I've been unusually busy in the Magic scene, actually, which is nice. Paper Magic is a thing, so pretty excited to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Paper Magic, before we get right into the topics, you want to tell us about our awesome sponsors?
Do I ever? So Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar sponsor this podcast and sponsor our leagues, which we run, free to enter, and pretty much all the prize support comes from these guys. So check them out. They're a Facebook auction group. They have daily auctions with biddable auction lots and also win it now lots. I currently have a number of outstanding orders with Pat, and I can personally vouch for their service. They are excellent. Little known fact that you can order multiple things over multiple lots, and because they have a full-time auctioneer, they will hold cards for you, and you can ship them out in a batch, which actually saves you shipping. So cool little bolt-on service that the crew at Josh and Pat's offer as well, which I make full use of too. So definitely go and check them out and let them know that the beans sent you.
Very well done, mate. You're a pro at that. Pro at buying cards from Pat as well, I think.
I've bought a few, yes.
Yes, a number. All right. So, as you said, you've been playing a fair bit of Paper Magic. Actually, one thing that isn't in our show notes, but we did talk about last week, Cube. You came and cubed with us.
I did.
Do you remember what nonsense you got up to?
I do. I have fonder memories of my first draft with Chewy's Legacy Cube.
Yep.
I was in blue-white, which I don't know why. It feels like every time we cube, I end up in an archetype, which I really am not fond of. So I'm certainly not a control player at heart. But I landed pretty firmly in the blue-white lane. And I was really happy with my deck, actually. It was great. It wasn't super controlling. Like I had Counterspell, I had a couple of other random things like Negate, and I had a Path and bits and pieces. But, I got an Isochron Scepter and was able to get up to some shenanigans with that. And I had a Consecrated Sphinx, which did a lot of heavy lifting against you, Cracker. It's very nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I scooped game one to Isochron Scepter with Counterspell underneath it, and you had 2 open mana. And then I'm pretty sure in game 2, that was the one where what did I do? Exiled 3 cards, lost 3 life, drew 3 cards, and then you drew 6.
Yeah, I drew 6, and I think I was pretty well set up at that point. So that game went pretty well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was properly dead before that point, but I didn't have Skeletal Scrying in my hand and not cast it. But
definitely a tricky spot.
And then your cube, what happened there?
So my cube didn't go as well. So I didn't get any power, but I did pack one, pick one Soul Ring, which I'm never upset about.
That's power.
I treat it as power.
Yeah,
and so that was great. And I just ended up in like green big stuff, which is a lane that I'm pretty comfortable with. So
you have been known to ramp?
I have been known to ramp, and I do enjoy a good ramp deck. So, yeah, I was pretty firmly mono green. Might have been splashing something else, but I just had a bunch of big payoffs I think I had like Woodfall Primus and Terrastodon and just a bunch of big stuff. And, yeah, that deck was okay. Stu and I almost drafted the same decks. Like, he was basically a ramp deck as well. Mm-hmm. And we had a really, really, really tight first match. Like, it was actually really fun, great games, and just etched out a win. I think we worked out after the game that Stu probably could have won if he was a little bit more aggressive. But yeah, eked out a win. I think I got down to a couple of life and gained a little bit back and clawed my way into it and just got over the line. And then I don't think I won another match. So
yeah, cube is like that. Mind you, a bad time cubing is still better than most things.
Oh, it was fantastic. I'm very happy to be catching up and taking a day off with mates to cube. So very keen for the next one we organise.
Yeah, absolutely. So the other Magic you've been playing is Commander. Lots of Commander.
Lots of Commander, yeah. So I was fortunate enough last weekend to make my way up to Sydney for the Oz CommandFest, which I think was the first. This was the first in-paper, formally organised Magic event, I believe, since 2019. I don't know if you're...
No, that's correct. Yep.
Yeah, so I was actually fortunate enough to make it up to the Brisbane GP in late 2019, which was amazing as well. But yeah, this was the first thing I attended since then. And a very different experience. So used to hitting up the big competitive events, and you and I, Cracker, have been to many together, and we often end up jamming side events, which is lots of fun, but it's proper competitive Magic. You know, we're playing rounds of Modern or whatever we choose, and
people are still spiky as though, right? Like it's not like a side event where you go, oh, this is just gonna be casual. Like it's cutthroat.
Oh, 100%. Everyone's there to win.
Yeah.
And I love it. But the CommandFest setup, very, very different. And it was really cool. It was a really great experience. So it was held just outside of Sydney in the burbs somewhere at a town hall. And I went up with Maddie P. So Maddie P, or Infec Rules in our Discord, is my brother, my younger brother. And we travelled up together. And we had another mate, Jacob, come up with us as well. The event was, as you'd expect from a commander event, very casual. So you could rock up and hit a table and just chat to people and form a pod at your own leisure and play games. And that was really it. It's a very flat prize structure. You played games and everyone at the table got equal tickets. Didn't matter who won, who lost. That was just the format and how it worked. It was a lot of fun.
So, because I think this is actually the first CommandFest we've ever had run in Australia.
Yes.
So, because of that, maybe do you want to explain a little bit about, like, you say it was very casual and you could just rock up and play, but I mean, you registered weeks ago. You've known for a while that you've been going, and you know there's an entry fee and stuff. Do you want to just let people know kind of what that was like and what was included? Because I know there were some people in the Discord who were hoping to get in, but even as recently, or you know, as a couple of weeks ago, like it was sold out.
Yeah. So it was entry was $100 for the weekend. That included a new Capenna pre-con commander deck though, which was great. So there was just good value out of the gates. You got a bunch of game ticks as well. I think it was like $50 or $60 worth of game tickets. And you also got a foil Sol Ring promo, a foil Path of Ancestry promo, and a non-foil Path of Ancestry promo. And I think you got a deck box and a few little odds and ends like that. But you basically got your value up front with that. And you're right, Cracker, it did sell out earlier than we expected, actually. Matty P and I were holding off booking flights and stuff just with, COVID and other bits and pieces that were kicking around. And we kind of left it fairly last minute, and we ended up grabbing our tickets when we booked our flights. And I think it was a day or two later, it sold out. So we're pretty fortunate to jump in there. But one of the guys we went up with, Jacob, actually didn't end up getting entry or a ticket prior to them selling out, and it turned out to not be a problem. So I think Plunksy was holding off not coming down because he'd missed out on some ticks, and turned out he probably would have been fine. So next time, Plunks, we'll catch up.
So did he just pay entry at the door then? Like they just were kind of letting people in? You still had to pay $100?
Yeah, literally. So he rocked up, and you just bought
brave.
standalone game tickets. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
We kind of committed to hanging out and playing some casual games outside of the venue if push came to shove. But anyone could walk in. There are a number of people who are doing that, and you would just walk up to the desk and buy game tickets, and then you could just go into the hall and sit down at a table and form a pod, and off you went. It was totally cool.
Right. So the entry was like the goodie bag, the loot bag, right, with the commander deck and all that other stuff. So that's what the $100 kind of got you. Plus, there was a bunch of games included in that. You said there was like 5 or 6 or something like that?
Yeah, there were, I think, 8 game tickets or something included as part of that as well, or 6. I can't remember.
And so when you sat down, you made a pod. When you finished the game, you handed in your game ticket, and then you got prize wall tickets.
Yeah, so a game ticket basically cashed in for 10 prize tickets or prize points, and then you could go and cash those in. They had individual booster packs, they had boxes, and for the first time, actually, maybe they'd had it at Sydney or Brisbane last time we were there, but I remember early on they never used to do singles, but they had singles that you could buy with your points as well, which was
cool. Really?
Yeah, so you could just get
cool.
Yeah, they had Ulamogs and whatever in the cabinet. You could just cash in your ticket points for singles. So yeah, it was really cool, and it was a really well run event as well, I should say. So big shout out to Good Games who organised the event. They've organised a number of the largish events that we've been to, and I think some of the PTQs we went to in sort of 2020ish were run by them. So same kind of crew was up there, and Mr. Riley Knight made an appearance up there as well. He was there for the weekend too, injecting a little bit of life and excitement into the event. So that was pretty cool to see him roaming the halls and interviewing people and, shouting out and throwing promos here and there. So, yeah, it was really cool.
That sounds awesome. I'm not jealous at all that you got to play a bunch of Commander games. So if you exhausted your 8 tickets with entry, you're saying you could just go buy like additional ones?
Yeah.
And did you have to have a ticket to like form a pod, or were people just playing like with their mates and then obviously like no prize support included?
Yeah, I think a lot of people were doing that towards the end of definitely Sunday. I think a lot of people were just hanging out and still playing games. So you definitely didn't need to have game tickets to be in the venue or at a table. So yeah, if you exhausted your ticks, you could still kick around and play some games. But I think that the idea was that you would have them and that you'd be in there playing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we ended up buying a few more to get us through the final day there. And then we just pulled all our ticks and cashed it in and walked away with a set booster box, which we split up and cracked. And yeah, it was great.
Nice. So as far as vendors and things, like at GPs, I mean, you and I at the Melbourne one, there was like Arcade Post came and I got him to sign like a bunch of cards. I know we've both bought art from, like other artists that were there. Was there that kind of setup as well? Did they have like not just vendors? Obviously, like Good Games would have had their own store where they were, selling singles and packs and stuff in addition to the prize wall. But was there other vendors there doing other things?
Not so much. So
okay.
I don't know if it was by design or whether it's just how it ended up panning out, because I've heard other CommandFests have,
like
artists and
aliens,
stuff.
Yeah,
that's right. So this one didn't have artists, and there was the Good Games crew, with a setup selling singles and buying cards for the weekend. Sure. And I think there was one other vendor there as well. So there were a few people. There was the local Sydney-based PGS grading service.
Okay.
Those guys were there as well. They had like a little booth. So there are a couple of people there, but not. I didn't catch any cosplay or any artist booths or anything like that.
Because I think that's I would hopefully see that moving forwards. And I mean, obviously this is like the first event back, like we said, in a long time. So you can understand them not trying to go to gangbusters with their outlay, but I mean, Commander's so popular. So how full was the venue? Like, was it capacity?
Yeah, it was definitely full on the Saturday, a little bit quieter on the Sunday, but at a guess, I would have guessed like 400 people, maybe 400, maybe up to 500 on the Saturday. and maybe a couple of hundred less on the Sunday. Still would have been in the vicinity of 300 plus, I would have guessed. So like definitely a good turnout. Like it felt full. It was buzzing. It was super loud. Like you could just hear shenanigans and people laughing and, you know, bad play stories and and everything kicking around the hall. So it was a really cool vibe. It was a lot of fun to be in there and around. And they had, you know, lots of things firing throughout the day. I think they had mystery booster drafts, and they were doing Commander Legends 2 Baldur's Gate sealed events that were firing throughout the weekend as well, which looked really popular. Lots of people were signing up for them. We didn't hit up any of those, but they looked like lots of fun. So yeah, it was just cool being back in person, man. It was just fun being in a room with people playing in person real paper Magic again. It was great.
That sounds awesome. I can't wait for what's the next one? We're going to go up to Sydney again in November, I think is the plan for the Pioneer event.
Yeah, it's the ANZ Super Series finals, I think. They've finally announced. I think it's the 25th-ish of November, something like that, back up in New South Wales again. So, yeah, certainly keen. I think most of us beans are planning on getting up there. So,
yep, certainly on the calendar at this stage, which would be cool. So, as far as decks, I spoke a little bit about you were putting together a Kenrith deck. I think we talked about that like a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. Did you bust out Kenrith? Did you play any in the like CEDH side? Was there like designated high-powered or CEDH sections?
Yeah, they had specific tables or areas cut out for like beginners and casual and CEDH.
Cool.
But it was broadly pretty chill. Like you could rock up at any table and just have a rule zero conversation, and then most people were packing everything along the power curve spectrum. So, yeah, Matt, Jacob, and I just played some games with a random guy who jumped on a table with us, and it was heaps of fun. Like just chatting and meeting him. He was a guy from Albury, actually, like halfway between. So, and he had been playing since 2018 and had really only ever played Commander, and had come up on his own, I believe. And so, yeah, it was cool. Just, you know, again, chatting, meeting with people. And we played a little bit of CDH with him. And I got to bust out Kenrith. It was cool to give it a final run, and especially against someone who was bringing a deck to the table that I wasn't familiar with. So it was cool.
What did they play?
So Matty P was on Edgar, and Jacob was on Crick, and this guy I can't remember his name, but he was on. It's the Rakdos Vampire. Is it Aria something?
Oh, Anjay, the Madness one.
Anjay, the Madness one. It was the Madness one. Yes. Yeah. So. It was actually really cool. Like I'd never even seen it. I can't even remember the card name, as you can tell. And it was that Madness commander. And he we played I think 2 or 3 games at least with him with that pod, the 4 of us. And on one of those he got to go off. Like he got an infinite combo and went through, and it was cool to see his deck do its thing. So
that is sweet. What about Kenrith? Did you manage to pod Kikijiki people?
So the wins I had with Kenrith, I had a single pod week win for the whole weekend, and I had 2 Thassa's Oracle demonic consultation wins, and I had just like an infinite mana, like mill everyone out, do all the things, win, which you could probably class as anything, but drawing everything.
Infinite mana plus Kenrith means infinite ways of winning. It's literally like pick your combo.
Turns out it's pretty good. So one of the challenges I had leading into this was trying to rein my crazy brain into like been a little bit more focused with how to build Kenrith. And to be honest, my deck is still not focused at all. It's just got like a ton of stuff jammed into it. But I did at least remove the Allurin combo pieces, for those who are familiar with that crazy 4-mana enchantment that lets you cast 3 CMC creatures for free. There was a whole package around that which let you do some infinite shenanigans, which I ended up pulling out. But I had the Thassa's Oracle Tainted Pact Demonic Consultation combo in there, which basically lets you mill your entire library in response to the Thassa's Oracle trigger, and you just win on the spot. And in addition to that, I was also running a Dockside Extortionist package, which you could sort of go infinite with Phantasmal Image or Emil, the unicorn, which has been reprinted in Double Masters, where you can flicker it and basically generate infinite tokens and kind of go off that way. And I was also packing Kinnan, who on their own is a CDH commander.
Yep.
And the Freed from the Real package with Bloom Tender, and it also works with stuff like Noble Hierarch, where you could basically generate infinite mana. And once you've got infinite mana on board with Kenrith, like you said, you can you
draw your deck. You can do anything.
You can draw your deck, you can mill everyone else, or you can infinite +1/+1 counter things and swing in for damage. There's a number of ways you can win from there. So yeah, it was really sweet. So I kind of got a bit of a taste of all of the various pieces that I had in my deck. So it was cool.
Awesome. Did you play Zaxara and some of your other decks as well?
I did. I played Zaxara a couple of times. Zaxara is like my
it's like mid to high power, right?
Yeah. It's like my kind of 7-8 out of 10 deck. Yeah. It's certainly not CEDH, but it's very, very powerful, and it got to do some super powerful things. Like I won a couple of games playing Zaxara over the weekend, and it just went off and did its thing. That was heaps of fun. I love that deck. It does everything that I love.
Civic ramp.
Yeah, it's just
giant things.
Big giant things and huge expels. Like, I don't know what else is Commander about. So that was really cool. I also played a few games with my Kozilek Colorless Commander deck, which is a lot more casual. But again, super, super powerful if you can make it to, turn 7 or 8 in the game, depending on who you're playing against.
Once I've got 12 mana, just you wait.
Exactly. It's just all the rocks, and it was quite good. But certainly didn't perform particularly well against Maddie P's Edgar deck, which gets very wide, very aggressive, very early. So
that thing rebuilds so fast as well. It's kind of ridiculous.
It's
like
it's
you
very,
can
very
sweep,
powerful.
and then he's just like, okay, I'm going to play 3 more vampires next turn, and that makes 6, and then all of a sudden you're just attacking for a bunch. It's like, oh my goodness. Yeah, that deck kind of goes off.
100%. We played at like a CEDH level game with Matty P on Edgar, and he had it's like 4 or 5 mana vampire where you can tap 5 untapped vampires and you gain control of another target creature and it becomes a vampire. And he stole my Kenrith, and then I just lost the game.
Oh, Captivating Vampire is a card, man. I think it gives you 10 +1/+1 as well.
Correct, it's a lord as well, and that, like, it was just filthy. I had no way of getting my stuff back. So, Edgar's certainly very, very powerful, and Matty P demonstrated that a number of times over the weekend. So,
nice.
He had a heap of fun as well, and it was nice. We all got wins, and all got our we all got an opportunity for our decks to do their things, which was really cool. So, yeah, a lot of fun had by all there that weekend.
It's kind of what you want in a Commander pod, right? Like you just want everyone to get the opportunity to go off and do their sweet thing. So that's awesome that you guys all kind of got that chance.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of people up there, friend of the podcast, Hemsy, previous Envy champion, right?
Yep.
Hemsy won early on, was up there too. So really cool. That was, I think, one of the only Beans community members who made it up there, and got to catch up with Hemsy on Saturday afternoon and jam a bunch of games. He jumped in on our pod, and he was on Euroco, so we got to pump out a little bit of CDH with him, and crushed us playing Euroco. Actually, it was great seeing that deck go off. So interactive.
Turns out he's pretty good at Magic too.
Yeah, no, Hemsy can Magic. We had a bunch of fun, and were able to play. I think we played like 4 or 5 games with Hemsy on Saturday afternoon, which was really cool. So
that's awesome.
Really nice to catch up with a member of the Beans community finally in person.
Well, in addition to the guys we hung out with cubing, but yes, it's good to see some interstate folks, I guess. That's one thing that I know we're all pretty keen on, is just like the opportunity to meet the people that we've been talking to on Discord for actual years now. Feels
for sure. And I mean, even to Spruik, well in advance, we've already said we're all planning on heading up there in November, but hoping that we get a bunch of people from the Beans community heading up. And if you're planning on going up in November, word us up, because we are pretty keen to organise some catch-ups or some side events or some stuff maybe on the Saturday or the Friday night up there. If there's enough people around, there could be a cube involved. Who knows? So,
I mean, there's going to be 5 or 6 beans. It doesn't take that many people to get a cube together. So,
and we don't need an excuse to cube anyway. If any of you guys are planning on heading up, word us up, and we'll certainly organise something. It'll be heaps of fun.
100%. Even if you're not interested in playing in like the Pioneer Made event, like there'll be plenty of time to hang out and just do other sweet things. So that would be unreal
for sure.
Anything else you want to say about the CommandFest, or kind of any other sweet moments that you wanted to talk about?
Nothing in particular. I mean, there was some pretty cool stuff just on the floor. Like, they were just in general, like with the event when it was being run, you would be at a table, you'd be playing your games, you'd be in a pod, you'd finish your game, you'd cash in your ticks. But in addition to that, they had a bunch of other sort of ancillary stuff kicking around as part of the event as well. So because it was the Commander Legends 2, like close to that launch, they had, in addition to just your pods firing, they had little checklists that they were passing around. So each pod would get a checklist, and there were like 5 or 6 different checklists that had different goals that you could achieve as part of your pod. So it could be like a certain number of creatures on the battlefield, or, everyone gets a certain number of lands, or, there's an entire party like, warriors, clerics, whatever, at the table. And whenever you hit one of those, you would tick off your checklist. And every time you completed a checklist, you'd raise your hand, call a judge. They'd come and collect it, and they give you a fresh checklist with different goals, and you would kind of tick those off. So almost like your like daily events or whatever. It kind of felt like, getting your gold in Arena or whatever.
Yeah.
But once we hit certain thresholds on each of the days, like when 50 of those checklists had been completed, or 100, it triggered the entire room to get promos. So that was a really cool little thing that they threw in on the side. So I think at 50 we all got like Path of Ancestry promos, and then at 100 we got foil Path of Ancestry promos, and then I think at 150 or 200 we all got foil Soul Rings, and that continued throughout the weekend. So it was really cool. Like, I think at the end of it we walked away with like 8 promos, half of which were foils for the weekend. So, and that was all just cream in addition to what was going on. So yeah, that was a cool little extra bit that was that was going on there as well.
That's awesome. Like, that's super generous, and like a really interesting way of like making sure the games keep happening, I guess. Like, it's kind of incentive there, because otherwise there's not necessarily a whole lot to kind of fire the pods as part of the event, in quotes, I guess. But that's very cool. They're just
it was cool.
Throwing cardboard at people. Gonna like it.
Yeah, it was a nice little bonus on top, and it just kind of added a little bit more EV to the whole event and the whole weekend, which was really nice. They also just had random, I think on the hour, every hour they'd announce, like certain game states or pieces, or stuff that might be happening in a game, and you had the option to take them up on effect. So it might be something like, if your pod has a warrior at the table, whoever owns that warrior can draw a card. Or, if there's, players who have less than 10 life, they can put a +1/+1 counter on anything on the board. And so they would just throw stuff like that out. You didn't have to, it was an option. But there was a little bit of that kind of, chaosy kind of, thing flung in there as well, which was a little bit spicy. So, little things like that were quite cool. So, certainly made it a bit interesting.
It's almost like a plane chase kind of effect.
Yeah, it totally was. It was that sort of thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so the combination of all those things, made it a really fun event. And it was my first CommandFest, first kind of big in-person paper event I've been to that wasn't like a competitive event. Yeah, and it was lots of fun. It's just low pressure, chill, hang out with people, meet cool people, buy a bit of cardboard, and play Magic all weekend. So it was cool.
Doesn't sound like you at all, Chris, acquiring more cardboard. Anything in particular that you picked up?
Yes, I did. I
Okay, fair enough.
I ended up getting
leave it at that?
Well, yeah, I got a foil Gaia's Cradle Judge promo, which I've been in the market for a little while, but we're able to negotiate some pretty good stuff, and got a foil Rhystic study, one of the original, I think it's Prophecy, or whenever that was printed, foil OG old border foil Rhystic study, which was pretty cool. So that'll slot into Kenrith as a bit of a shiny upgrade.
Always chasing upgrades. Love it.
Yeah. Or the cube, that always needs to be kept up to date.
Ooh, that's a good point. There's probably some good things that could go.
There's always more to go in the cube.
There's so many cards. So many cards. Speaking of cards, I know we covered a lot of this last week, but we've got the rest of the previews for Double Masters. It actually comes out next week, I think.
Oh, I'm so excited for next Friday.
Okay.
This set is loaded.
So I think we covered off like a fair bit last week as far as the EV and cards that grabbed us. You mentioned Emil before, or MEL, or however, I don't know. We don't know how to pronounce cards. The Blessed, which has got a sweet new full art version, different art. Looks pretty cool.
I don't even know whether I saw the full art version, but I saw the reprint, and definitely very happy to see. Oh yeah, the full art one's very nice actually.
Yeah, it's kind of old school, and it looks like it's been lifted out of like an old fantasy book or something, like a fairy tale book.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. What else has grabbed you out of this set as cards that you're like really happy to see being reprinted?
So that is definitely one. For anyone who's into any kind of Blink shenanigans, Emil is just one of the best cards in Commander for that. Flickering your dockside for 3 when there's more than 3 artifacts just gives you infinite mana on the spot. So, that's an awesome piece. So, very happy to see that there. Don't know if you guys touched on it, but all the Eldrazi Titans, like the OG Eldrazi Titans, are back. I'm very happy to see them being reprinted. They got really expensive.
Particularly
like an Ulamog. Over $100, I think.
Which is crazy. I know we had it on our list to talk about. I think we just ran out of time last week, but yes, we were all very excited to see that too, because I mean they're staples in Commander and various other places, but I mean mostly Commander, except for Emrakul, which is banned.
Yes.
Which explains why it was probably not the most expensive out of all of them, which is kind of weird considering she's the best. But
yeah, I mean, it just goes to show the pull that Commander's got on card prices. It's just the most played and the biggest format. So, very happy to see them. I don't know whether you guys touched on Mana Vault, but always very happy to see like a Mana Vault, Mana Crypt style reprint in these sets. So, pretty pumped to see that, and had a really nice borderless treatment on that one as well. So the first kind of, quite fancy premium treatment that one's had outside of, your inventions or whatever.
Yep.
So pretty pumped for that one. Just thinking modern wise, I think you guys touched on Aethervial, which is awesome. There's just odds and ends, even a Pithy Needle reprint, is great to see in the mix. Panharmonicon, it's great for more Blink and ETB shenanigans, so pretty happy to see that reprinted in there. That was getting up there as well. Yeah, I don't know, there's just so much in this set.
I think there's a lot at the kind of $30 range that we may not have touched on. There's some other stuff that I know, we talked about Cavern of Souls and Aethervial, and I was talking about, Mana Drain and Force of Negation and Food Chain as the big ticket things, Imperial Seal. But then, I think there's kind of just a lot in that mid-range, which kind of make this set seem really strong. Yeah,
totally. And I don't even know whether you guys touched on Dockside last week, but
I think we did earlier when it was previewed.
Super early preview.
I think it was the first couple of days that one got previewed.
Yeah, so look, that Monastery Mentor is an awesome card, and that had, slowly been creeping up. Bitter Blossom just, doesn't even see that much play, but still a $40 plus card. Allosaurus Shepherd, great Legacy Elves piece, or, a great piece in Commander, just for pumping your team. So, yeah, just a heap of stuff. Smothering Tithe, so many good cards.
I don't know if we talked about Ren and 6, actually. But that's a really good one to have.
Oh, Ren and 6 is huge. Yeah.
Like that's actually a really huge pickup for Modern. That sees a lot of play. And, single printing. Same with Seasoned Pyromancer. I know we did talk about that. But, yeah, these MH1 cards that we're starting to see more of, obviously Force Negation fits into that category as well. It's
100%.
Like, it is absolutely due time that we kind of got more copies of this.
Yeah, so Ren and 6, I think, got a hit on the list. And Ren and 6, unlike some of the other MH1 cards, didn't get the old border treatment in MH2.
Yes.
So you got you got Urza, you got Yawgmoth, you got Force of Negation, you got all of those as old borders in some of the boosters in MH2. Ren and 6 was not one of those though. So yeah, very happy to see that hit the reprint in Double Masters too. It's a good one to have in.
Yeah, and with, a couple of different versions, there's, like a different full art. There's it's not an old border, but it's like a different bordered.
Yeah, I think the funny borders are the etched foil versions.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so some of them have got the full triple treatment, like the standard border, the borderless alt art, as well as the etched foil frame. And I think the etched foil is only available in collector boosters. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's all etched foils.
That would make sense, because we were talking about
the
difference between set and collect. Well, there's no set boosters, but like draft boosters.
Yes. So you can definitely get like the borderless alt art treatment stuff in draft boosters. That's 100% in the product mix. You can only get the textured foils in collector boosters, right. And I'm pretty sure the etched foil frames are only in collector boosters as well. So
right,
spend that $300 for your 4 packs and hope to get something good.
That's it. Don't get. Yeah, there's. I mean, it is built. There's some real tension here with these sets. It feels kind of awkward with their, draft products as well, when they're very clearly like collector's products mostly. But yeah, if I bought like a single collector booster pack and one of my rares was a Abzan Ascendancy or something like that. There's or any of like the the lieges, I'm not gonna be real happy. So
there is a lot of opportunity for feel bads in these. Yeah, if you
So I mean, we did talk about before the cast just kind of the expected EV, and we know that Saffron Olive kind of pulled together some numbers. Did you have you had a quick look at that? Any thoughts there?
Yeah, so now that the full set's been previewed, because I don't think it had quite been previewed after the last cast. There are a couple more cards that came out.
Yeah, there was still the Last White Mythic. What did we get there?
I think it was either a meal or Monastery Mentor.
Yeah, I think it was
Mentor.
Might have been both,
so a couple more cards that come out after that, but nothing too substantial. But the Seth at MTG Goldfish has run all the numbers and has put together an estimated value of a draft box or a draft pack as well, based on the current pre-order prices. So they're taking, as an example, Imp Seals at $250 US, Ren and 6 at $60. So these are the pre-order prices of the Double Masters 2 or 2022 stuff.
Yep.
So the draft box EV, they've got listed at about $420 US for a box, which puts it at about $17 US for a pack, which is good. That's, we're talking $422 US. A draft box is 400 AUD. So, I mean, as it stands, the value is certainly in the set. It's pretty jacked.
Do you think it'll drop the price? Because the other thing that I know you and I are talking about this morning is just the limited print run we're expecting to see out of this.
That's the tricky part with this set. So there's been a lot of chatter about there being pretty high supply side constraints on this set. So not a huge amount of product in the distribution chain, and we're hearing that this is a one and done print run. is my understanding. So that may not turn out to be true, but what I've heard is that this might just be a single print run. And if that's the case, and given that the popularity of this set and the kind of cards that are in it, it could be very, very tight for access to sealed product. So that will certainly have an impact on prices if there's a shortage on that stuff and it is a single print run. But I mean, they're just going to print a ton of this set. This is going to be a cash cow for them. Every man and his dog is going to want to buy this product and this set. There's just so much value in it, and there's so many good reprints. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. Overall, reprinted cards in this set, they are going to be cheaper than what you can get them for now. I think it's just a good overall outcome for anyone who was after cards in this set.
Yep.
It's going to do you favors. So happy to see that happen.
Yeah, 100%. Like, this is a really great injection for a lot of, really, really amazing cards. As far as timing goes on this, what do you think? Like, a month or two after release is going to be like the trough before we start to see things coming back up again?
It's.
I know it's hard to guess. I know with like standard sets, it's usually a little bit after that. It's usually, towards the end of the set is when the cards tend to be at their lowest, except for obviously the couple of mythics or rares that are like the chase card out of the set. But
yeah, it's been really tricky. The trend, and I mean, keeping in mind this is a master set as well, so it doesn't necessarily parallel nicely with standard sets, but it has been really interesting in the last, couple of years, or definitely the last 12 months, that there's been a real, like, hyperbolic price shift in, like, the way that prices have worked have been really split. So you see the really premium chase rares or mythics just go nuts, like really crazy. And I mean, like, your premium print runs. I'm thinking like your like the Japanese alt Sorens, the Japanese alt Wandering Emperor, like those like premium chase mythics. You would pre-order them at $100 or sub 100, and they'd be $300+ cards. And there were some other cards, like your Ledger Shredders or whatever, who would just go gangbusters. But generally, cards, like, I feel like pre-pandemic, a month or so after set release, you would kind of see your trough. Like, you would see things really kind of bottom out. It's been a longer burn recently. Like, it's been more like 5-6+ months before cards are hitting their bottom, just based on the last couple of years of sets. So I don't know whether this will be the same. Like I said, it's a master set. It's not a standard set. But it wouldn't surprise me if these cards kind of, are highish at the start and are still trending downwards in, a couple of months' time. But again, that is completely dependent on supply limitation. I mean, if you can't buy this product sealed in 2 months' time, that's not going to happen. Your bottom is going to be much sooner.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that we've noticed with all the other master sets as well, is that there is very much that kind of, like, the initial peak of pre-order prices, and then, it like you said, it slumps after whatever that time is, a month or two, depending on the set, even for, like these master sets. And then prices do tend to bounce back, not all the way, but a lot of the time, like 70%, 80% of what it was, sometimes even more. Like, one of the other things that can happen with these is that they inject these cards that people may not have been aware of, or, like just couldn't get their hands on, and everyone kind of goes nuts for it again. Like Imperial Seal, right? Obviously, it's not going to hit to $1,800 again, but it's one of those things where who knows what it'll actually do. So it can be really tricky to pick where when the right time to buy is. So
it can be those older cards. They're weird. They're the hardest to call. Yeah. So I mean, Imperial Recruiter is a good parallel for that. Like, that was a super rare single print run. That might have been Portal as well, actually. I think originally.
And what was that, like $500-$600, something like that?
Yeah, it was hundreds, and that's now like I don't know, like I think it's single digits.
Yep.
But after the first reprint of that, it still held a reasonable price point. Yeah. But like, you throw one more print run into the mix, and a card that was $400-$600 is now actual dollars. So that just kind of shows the difference between older cards that have had single print runs and what the impact of a reprint is on those versus, more staple cards like your Cavern of Souls, that kind of thing, that aren't going to have anywhere near the kind of percentage hit that something like that will.
Yeah,
so definitely interesting to see what happens with Imperial Seal and with Warrior's Oath is the other big one. That was the other Portal reprint that's just got a super high price tag, mostly because it's a PK3 card.
Yeah, exactly. It's scarcity. I mean, we talked about that, where you could just get Final Fortune now for like $15, which is exactly the same card. It just has a different name on it. But yeah, I mean, there's always cards like Mana Vault and Mana Drain we talked about before. Like, they'll dip. They're $60 now. They might go to 50 or 45 or something, but they'll bounce back because they see so much play. Like, they've been printed a bunch of times, and it's good that they keep reprinting them, and hopefully it does bring them down. Like, if they became $30 cards or $20 cards, that'd be amazing. But I don't see that happening from like this additional Masters set.
Yeah, unfortunately, when we're talking like super tier, super staple Commander cards, the demand just for Commander outstrips any kind of reprint equity. Like, when you're talking that level of card, they just continuously bounce back. It's why Soul Rings aren't 10 cents. Like, exactly. How many times has it been printed?
It's in every Commander Precon ever.
Exactly. And all the other reprints and everything. Yeah. So it's the same kind of thing for those real Commander staples. There's a reason why Ewit, is still worth $10 or whatever. That's been printed who knows how many times. Like, it's just one of those cards that's everywhere. And so certainly those will always have a higher floor just because of the demand from Commander.
Awesome. Okay, so moving on, next couple of things. We'll wrap up soon, but we've got our Explorer 1-day event coming up in a week. It is on the 9th of July. I know you haven't played any Explorer. You've been busy doing other things, but I don't know. There's some interesting decks. I guess we've spoken about Explorer a bunch recently. So, I mean, I know you said you'd probably just play a ramp deck of some description.
Yes.
Someone cast Hydroid Krasis in Cube the other day, and I was like, oh, that's a card. Like that.
I love that card.
That card's amazing. So you can play that.
For sure. Like, that is the kind of card that I would be playing if I was in there. I mean, I played a bit of Pioneer, and I know it's not, we don't have access to all the Pioneer stuff, but I was definitely doing like, mono green big stuff when I was playing Pioneer, and I think that's still a really good deck in Pioneer. So I'd probably try and port that kind of deck across to Explorer if it was me, but I don't think that's even a thing that's part of the meta currently with Explorer. So
yeah, it's interesting because there's two approaches with Explorer. People are either taking like previous standard decks that they really like, or the historic version of it, and then like porting it into Explorer. Or what I've been doing is looking at people playing Pioneer decks and then trying to export them backwards into Explorer that way. So admittedly, they're mostly Delver shells.
No.
Shock horror. Just give me Treasure Cruise. Give me Treasure Cruise at common. If you guys make it a mythic or a rare, so help me, I'm going to flip a table. But yeah, anyway, so that's kind of where things are. So it's pretty cool that you get to build whatever you want still. It still feels pretty open. One deck that started popping up, and I've seen people playing this in standard a little bit as well, is fight rigging decks. So fight rigging, because we all remember exactly what that is one of it's one of the enchantments from New Capenna. So it's 2 and a green. It has Hideaway 5. So you look at the top 5 cards, you exile one of them under fight rigging effectively. And then it says, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Then if you control a creature with power 7 or greater, you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. So this deck is... this one's Sultai, but I've seen like Golgari list as well, which is kind of mostly what they're doing. But they're just playing giant things like Rotting Regisaur, Shakedown Heavy, Polukranos, Elder Gargaroth, Vorinclex, like just giant threats. They're ramping with like Goose and Llanowar Elves, and then Auron's Epiphany, Emergent Ultimatum, because...
Epiphany's legal. Yeah. Because
Yep.
Nexus of Fate is not, right? Like,
Correct.
Nexus is banned.
Yeah, Nexus is banned. And so is the other thing I was thinking the other day. I was like, oh, what about like playing Reclamation decks? No, that's banned as well.
Oh, that's immediately where I went. I was like,
Expansion
give me,
Explosion.
Like, Expansion Explosion, Niv Mizzet, and Wilderness Reclamation, and we are off. But no.
Team of Wreck is banned, unfortunately. You
can't
do
have
that.
nice things.
Well, yeah, that's true. You can't have ramp things. But yeah, this deck seems really sweet. So, like you can play your Regisaur on turn 2.
Turn 2, yeah, with a dork. That seems really strong.
Yeah. And then just beat down, and then you can make it into an 8/7 and attack someone and then flip. I mean, you can flip over like an Emergent Ultimatum or an Elrond's Epiphany, and that seems strong, man.
In a ramp deck where you're going to have a reasonable density of high mana threats, digging 5 deep, you're likely to hit something in your hideaway, right? So, yeah, it seems powerful.
Yeah,
I like it.
Seems fun. What other things are there that are particularly good at the moment? Look, Control is pretty good. The Greasefang decks, we've talked about those before, are actually pretty good. It feels like things where you can still do kind of what you want. Things are also narrowing a little bit, and I expect we'll see that more as, there's more focus put on the format. So if you want to come and just jam some games, please sign up. There will be a link in the show notes for Challenge, which is where you can do that, and then come join us in the Discord. It's a free event. We've got real cash prizes as part of that, so it would be sweet if you could come and hang out. There's always just a lot of fun to do that. I won't be joining in. I'm having a day with my youngest was born on Christmas Day, which is pretty unfortunate for him. So
it's what every kid wants.
It's just, so we've decided that that weekend is going to be Lior Day. His name is Lior, and we're not quite having a birthday party, but it's a day that's just like for him, because he doesn't quite understand why he has to wait so long, like the whole year, and then everything happens all at once. So we're kind of spreading it out a little bit. First time we're trying that, but
nice. It's a good idea.
Should be fun. We might go to the zoo or something interesting, assuming it's
nice.
Pouring with rain.
I also have some family commitments on the weekend, so I won't be there. But if you were to be playing Cracker, what deck would you be bringing to the table?
I'd be bringing a Delver deck. Actually, I love them. They're a lot of fun. There's some really good packages that you can basically get ports from Pioneer. So the one that I've been looking at, I follow a lot of Aspiring Spike. He plays a lot of really sweet decks, and he piloted one for the most recent qualifier or play-in. Was one of the qualifier events for Pioneer in the last week or so. And the threat package is like Delver, Sprite Dragon, Ledger Shredder. And then you get to utilize Lofty Denial as a really effective counterspell. And then, you've got like Opt and Consider, and you can kind of do all that sort of stuff. The main difference between the Pioneer version and the Explorer version is you don't get Treasure Cruise. So that is obviously a huge downgrade, because you fill your graveyard really efficiently with like Charter Course, and then Ledger Shredder just churns through your deck. So having like Ancestral Recall effectively in your deck is pretty great. So I would look to do something like that, and then, just had come up with some different draw spells. Probably some, I was kind of messing around with it before, like Memory Deluge or Behold the Multiverse, I think it's called, the one where you can kind of pay 2 and then pay 2 again, or you can pay 4. So it's not as good, but I think there's still options there, and just, cheap interactive spells to kill elves and things, and then counter spells for people's giant threats.
Cheap evasive creatures and cheap spells and tempo people out.
Yeah, and look, Sprite Dragons and Ledger Shredders get really big really quickly.
They do.
Yeah, so that's kind of where they end up. I know Chewy's been playing a bunch of the Transmog Titans, he calls it. And if you saw, he was playing that against Shorty on stream earlier this week. And yeah, he's basically just playing a bunch of token makers with that. There's a land you, it's not Cycle, but it's, what's Boseju's ability? I've gone completely blank.
Channel.
Yeah, you channel out.
Channel.
Yeah, there's a card that lets you channel out a couple of 1/1 tokens.
And Chewy knows all about channeling out big creatures.
Yeah, he does. He did channel out a card. I'm not salty about that. And then, basically just transmogrifying them into the new Titan and just making 4/4s. And he's also got like Fable of the Mirror Breaker in there. And once you start copying your 7/7 Titan that, gets shield counters and makes 4/4s and has trample like that gets out of hand very quickly.
Yeah. Titan of Industry is one of those cards that has impressed me more than I expected, actually. It's just like another one of those big, dumb green cards where it's like, really, how many of these are we going to get? But
it's got a lot of words on it.
It does have a lot of words, like, I don't know, just like your Elder Gargaros or whatever, which have all proved to be quite good. But Titan seems to be doing a lot of work. Seems very powerful.
Awesome. Apart from that, I know that Shorty will be streaming, so if you can't participate but you'd like to check out what's going on, please come out in our Twitch chat, and that would be awesome. The other thing, we're planning a stream, speaking of streams, actually next week, Tuesday, is currently the plan for some Paper Magic.
We are, yes.
Which is pretty exciting.
It is. It's one of the things that we caught up earlier this year, and one of the things that we all spoke about was trying to get together and do some paper streaming now that we're not all in lockdown again, and we can get out and catch up and sling spells in person. So planning to do that. Next Tuesday evening. Not sure what we're going to end up playing at this stage. It might depend on card availability and time, but I'm sure we'll be slinging either some Modern or some Pioneer. Keep an eye out Tuesday evening for a Bean stream. Yeah,
we did one a little while ago where Chewy and I were playing Modern, and we kind of really talked through the process of what we were doing, and it was really just a test. It was pretty, short notice. But this one, we're planning on doing a little more formally where we actually commentate. So it should be it's kind of still a test for us. We're interested in branching out and diversifying our space, and the difference between commentating paper versus arena. We expect there to be some challenges there around like visibility and kind of the formats and all that sort of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see. But I'm really looking forward to it, man. It should be a lot of fun to just jam Paper Magic again.
Yeah, it'd be lots of fun. And one of the reasons we're wanting to do it as well and catch up and work out some bugs is we'd love to be able to do some coverage for some local events when we get the opportunity, as that sort of arises heading maybe later on into the year or into next year, whether it be at a local game store or something bigger. It'd be great to be able to have a chance to actually do a little bit of in-person coverage of an event. So, part of that certainly ironing out some of the bugs, and, we'll hopefully get some cool opportunities coming up in the future. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Okay, last couple of things, I guess. If you want to find us, if you want to watch the videos, the Twitch, please come check us out. It's Magic Beans Cast, pretty much everywhere. Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Just type it in, you'll find us. Otherwise, don't forget Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. It's jpmtgbazaar.com.au. They will take you straight to the Facebook page, and you can bid on some sweet cards and some auctions. I know that Pat will have a lot of the Double Masters stuff that we were chatting about today. I imagine he's gone pretty hard on that set. So end of next week after, expect to see a lot of lots going up, and also really good prices. That's the other thing we kind of haven't mentioned, but the pricing was very, very sharp, which is something you don't always get here in Australia. You look at eBay and stuff and you can kind of get gouged pretty hard there. But Pat always has excellent pricing. So go check those out if you don't have the funds to buy $400 boxes, which a lot of us don't. Otherwise, if you want to talk to me directly, honestly, Discord's the best place. Come join us there. But if you want to chat to us on Twitter directly, mine is at JoelHill_. And Chris, yours is?
At PolyWaffleMTG.
Thank you for hanging out, everyone. Appreciate it. I hope to see you on the stream soon, and we will talk to you next week.